What's going on? What's up, the nation? It's your man C Dougie here, coming with a new video right before Senior Bowl, and with the East and West Shrine game practice already going on. Coming to talk with one of our biggest Panther content creators about possible prospects the Carolina Panthers could possibly draft that can help this team as a whole. To my right, maybe to your left, we got Rashad from PNP. Go ahead and tell the people what's up, Rashad.
Yo, what's cracking? It's Rashad, one half of the Panther Nation podcast. We in the building. Hey man, C Let's get it cracking. Let's get the energy up.
Yes,
It's
sir.
draft season, it's off season. Good times. Let's get it cracking, man.
Yes, sir, man. Like I said, I appreciate you doing this with me. Been trying to collab with you for a minute. Schedules, haven't been able to be on the same page, but we finally able to bring Panther Nation some good content about draft season, something I think everybody's intrigued about. But before we get into the content, let's go ahead and shout out our sponsor at What's Up, Doug, which is SeatGeek. Again, viewers that have not used SeatGeek before with your first ticket purchase, you get $20 off your first ticket to football, basketball, concert, whatever venue that uses SeatGeek. Again, for first-time users, you get $20 off your ticket purchase with the code What's Up, Doug. Again, for first ticket purchases, use code What's Up, Doug. All right, Rashad. So, like we said, we're going to talk about a couple of prospects. We already know who we're going to talk about, but with this draft right now, which side of the ball do you think we really need to?
I was gonna say, is that even a question? Like, I don't think it's a question. However, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just thought it was funny. I mean, everybody in Panther Nation know we need defense, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
we had a historically bad performance on the defensive side of football, so we know we have a ton of gaps to fill. At the same time, we cannot ignore the offense, right? And I
Correct.
know everybody and their mama saying we're gonna need an edge rusher, and we're gonna need to get the best interior defensive lineman at that number 8 pick. And I think we can go a multitude different ways at number 8. But and I know a lot of guys we're gonna talk about today are all defense, but
Yeah.
we cannot ignore if there's an offensive weapon at 8. I'm specifically talking about Ted.
All right.
If
Who you
he's there,
talking about?
at 8, we have strongly got to consider taking him, because I firmly believe that Bryce Young needs weapons. And in order for him to take that next step to be in how many? I'm gonna ask you, how many yards do you think Bryce Young had left on the field by drops this
I
past season?
mean, literally, like I know people like Doug, really, like I'll say about 3,200, like combined where he can get close to.
Yeah. So like that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like we are, and I ask you another question. When is the last time we had an elite wide receiver 1 on the field? When is the last time we've seen that?
Smitty,
Thank you.
whenever we let him go, and then he went to Baltimore, and we see what happened since the downfall since Smitty left.
Agreed. I completely, and I love DJ Moore. No slight to DJ
Correct.
Moore, but he's not a Smitty. He wasn't on
He's a
that level.
two.
So,
He's a number
exactly.
2.
I agree with you. Just no disrespect. I know we done took some shade with DJ. We had a little bit of issue with DJ at one time. That wasn't me. That was Dave. But I listen. I do think if Ted is there, I am a proponent of taking him. I'm gonna be honest with you, and I know all the issues we got. We got 9 picks in total.
Correct.
So we gotta spread the wealth. We got a lot of mouths to feed, and that's also contingent on what we do in free agency. So if
Facts.
we go out there and get T Higgins or something like that, cool. But if we don't address it in free agency, Ted should be somebody we need to be talking about potentially taking at number 8. I know that was a lot. That was a lot to
No,
answer your
it's
question.
fine though. I mean, when you look at it, the funny thing about it is when people be like, "Y'all said all that," but when we look at the video, y'all talking about defense.
Right. That's why it's funny.
We not literally talking about first round. These players that we're talking about are like gems. Rashad did 3. I did 3. We looked at it. We were like, hey, where do you think we need to fill needs at where everybody thinks the home run hit is in the first round? No, the home run hit is when you get in these 3rd and 4th rounds with the picks that we have, because that big gap that we have from 8 to the 2nd round, and then we go to 55. I mean, 57. I apologize. Since the Rams, we actually know the number 57. There are going to be gems that we actually got to hit on. And we know the past history of GMs. Marty Herney hit with number 1s, but failed throughout the rest of the draft. Scott Fitter, you look at the picks that he's been able to pick up during the draft, hit or miss. So now you look at Dan Morgan. People are questioning Dan Morgan with the whole, Jonathan Brooks pick, and then some people how they feel about Edsel. But again, it's a new season. I mean, Dan Morgan has said he has to do a better job, and I think he's up for the task. So let's go ahead and get into our first prospect that we're going to talk about, Rashad, which is Kenneth Grant out of Michigan. 6'3", 339 pounds, had a total of 32 tackles. That is assisted in solo, 5 pass breakups, and 3 sacks. Big guy in the middle, which again is kind of crazy because we just signed to a futures contract a big D lineman that used to play for Coastal, which is a different type of defensive lineman that we brought to Carolina. But things that I think that intrigue me about Kenneth Grant, as you see on the screen, is he takes on blocks. One thing that we've had a problem with, and no slight to Shy Tuttle, is Shy Tuttle is undersized. I'm gonna pull the screen back. I'm gonna put the talking points up back, but Shy Tuttle is undersized. One thing that you need is in a 3-4, you need a big, meaty, hefty guy. Pause. I already know that's one thing.
I
I mean,
hey, listen. When I go on other people's shows, I leave the pause alone. You introduced it, so now it's fair game moving forward. I just want you to know that you introduced it.
Yeah. So for me, like Kenneth Grant would be maybe that second round, or depends if we trade back. Because I know a lot of people are saying with that 8 pick depends on with these quarterbacks out there. What goes on in the top 5, if there's talent there, depends on really what Dan Morgan wants to do. 9 picks is a lot. So you're adding more with trading back, which I think they'll probably try to move up and double up one of those picks to move up. But Kenneth Grant is a type of player that can come in day one, rookie mini camp, training camp, and when the season starts, can make an immediate impact. Not a big impact, but you can see the difference with a rookie. Again, quick to recognize down blocks and avoid getting washed inside. One thing when you look at Shy Tuttle and the other starting D tackles that were, put in the starting lineup after DB went down, they'll get washed away. Lanes will wide, will open like the Red Sea. So for me, I do think Kenneth Grant would be a great addition or a hidden gem in the second round. I don't think he makes it third because right now, when I was looking at where he ranks, he's in the top 5 for defensive tackles. So that's hard when you're going to try to go to the third round, where it's either you trade back, get him in the early second, or depends on what you do with your first round pick. I mean, he can be a day 2 early pick for us and come in and be right beside A'Shawn Robinson and Derek Brown. What you got?
Yeah, no, I think this, obviously we need some IDL help bad. And I love A'Shawn Robinson. I thought A'Shawn Robinson played very well in the trenches. We missed Derek Brown sorely. And I do think Kenneth Grant is a type of guy, like you mentioned. Shy Tuttle, man, it's tough. It's tough. And
It's tough.
I know it's people too, so it's I gotta tread lightly. So Shy Tuttle, is not a good fit with what we're trying to do. And the thing about Evero and his defense, to me, he doesn't use a true nose tackle. Even going back to his days in Denver, he never used a true nose. Like, he don't got that big 360-pound guy. And I know we just signed one, so maybe things are gonna the tide may be turning a little bit. But I don't know, when you sign a guy to a futures contract, you ain't looking for that man to end up being. I mean, that's the point
camp
of
body.
it.
Camp body.
Yeah, that's the. I mean, in the ideal circumstance, you would like for that camp body to turn into a gym, but it's highly unlikely, right? So you need a guy, Kenneth Grant. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get him, bro. I see Kenneth Grant going anywhere between the late first and the early second, mid to early second. So, like you said, if we trade back, this dude is like, I know this is a term that was thrown around a lot back in the day. He's a dancing bear, bro. This dude is an athlete. He can move around something crazy. And so for him to be that big and move the way he does is very intriguing. I think it's gonna move him up the boards a little bit with the combine and all that stuff, where he gets to show off his individual skills. So, but Kenneth Grant, I like him a lot. Played next to Mason Graham. That tandem right there is a problem. I like it. I like him a lot, man. I'm intrigued by him. But we need it. We need the idea help bad. We need it bad, bro. But I agree with all your talking points earlier that you had the slide. I think I I agree with him wholeheartedly. I think he's very, very solid. And
Yeah,
taking on the, like you said, taking on the blocks, I love it. I love it.
like the thing for me is I had the pleasure of seeing him, through these practices at the East and West Shrine game. And one thing I want to see is one-on-ones. If he is invited to the combine, that's something different. But you going against players that's actually, going to get drafted as well or trying to get drafted, and they're picking cream of the crop prospects out there. I want to see how he does in one-on-one. I mean, even in a game, like, you don't have to get sacks, but applying pressure, one thing that we did not have from that particular position was actually getting pressure upfield. And again, gap control. One thing Kenneth Grant can bring right away, day one, is gap control. So, like Rashad said, I mean, this is a trade back scenario for Carolina. This is not you take him at 8. This is, hey, somebody calls, you get their pick in a late first and then early second. It just depends on the trade value that we get with it. But I like the prospect, and if it is a possibility that we get him, I think Carolina should not second guess with grabbing him right away.
Yeah, I agree. If he's on the board, and let's say we hypothetically do go like Tet in the first round, I would feel really good about him being our second round pick. Like if he ends up falling to us or something, we somehow get him in the second round, I think that's a very solid pick. I'll be very happy with that tandem, Tet and Grant, for sure. 1,000%.
All right, Rashad. Next up.
Yeah, man. So Xavier Watts, this is a guy, man. Listen, I love this kid. We need safety help bad. You got Xavier Woods, Xavier Woods and Jordan Fuller are going to be up out of here, right? And we don't know what's going to happen with them getting re-signed, hitting free agency. So we basically have no safeties on the roster. So when you look at the need for safety, it's very, very, very high. And so Xavier Watts is a guy, man, again, not the best safety. That's Malachi Starks. But this guy is solid. He's a very solid player playing for Notre Dame. Unfortunately, I think they just announced that he's not going to be playing at the Senior Bowl because he did all the games. He had all the extra film for the playoff games. So that's unfortunate. But I do think from a strength perspective, I think he's got good instincts. I think he's got really good. And I think, listen, I think one of your cons down here is him in zone. I actually think he's a really good zone safety. I think he's solid in zone. I think he's got a good trigger. He knows when to trigger. He's very good, high IQ player, good angles in space. I think he's got really, really good instincts. Now, as far as acceleration, he's got some acceleration issues, maybe shedding and getting off blocks. I think he has some issues there. At some points, he kind of arrives at the point of contact kind of crazy. But I really like Xavier Watts. I think there's a lot to build upon, and we haven't had very good safety play in Carolina in a long time. So I'm happy about Xavier Watts. What you think about him?
Hey, I'll tell you this. Those names that you named, Jordan Fuller, I'm glad he's gone. That was a waste of money. Xavier Woods, I mean, he did enough for us. But, I mean, some people call him cement hands when he had all those picks. He could have had 8 picks a year ago. Now, the last 2 years, it's been basically, penalties. Yeah. I do think he was targeted because some of those unsportsmanlike were not on him. But when you have miscommunication in the back 4, because it has to be communication from the front 7 to the back 4. And when you have miscommunication, when we've seen people wide open, when we're in the red zone, that's an issue. And for them to say Xavier Woods is our strongest safety, I don't know what they saw. So whenever, we talked about Xavier Watts, we're looking at players, I was like, let me play more closer attention. And luckily, I was able to see this in the semifinal and also during the Natty when I was like, hey, let me zero in. And Rashad is right. Even though I wrote that point about zone, it's more of the speed concept where he's going to have to – it's not he's bad in zone, but if you have a speedy wide receiver, that is going to be a pencil circle around that he's going to need help with. But bringing him in and along with Damani Richardson, who's still possibly going to be here with him being an undrafted free agent, that is the only safety we have. But it's going to be how Dan Morgan, like Rashad said, we will know how this team will attack the draft. If we go get safeties in free agency, we kind of would know that we may not be dire need to get a safety. I like Starks. Rashad said the name Starks. I would not be mad if we chose him at 8. Depends on what we do in free agency.
You might not, but a lot of people will be. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I like Starks. I took him in mock draft Monday, and I think it's that big of a need, to be honest with you. And when we talk about needs, I'm not a fan of drafting for need, but Starks is on another
Yes.
level, bro. He's
Yes.
one of them ones where he's one of them ones worth taking top 10 overall from a safety standpoint. He's one of them ones. And so I ain't gonna be mad at it, but like you said, I think some folks will be if we took him.
And the only reason why is because we all have personal preference of a player. Like I just looked at a tweet earlier today. Everybody was mad at Luke Kuechly, and then look how everybody was praising when we drafted Luke Kuechly. Then you look at Christian McCaffrey; he was too small. I think I'm actually going off the post. Christian McCaffrey was too small. He's not an elusive back. DJ Moore, when we drafted DJ Moore, even though we said DJ Moore is not a number one, but what he was able to bring to Carolina, I mean, it was great. We just didn't have a piece to help him along. When we drafted DB, everybody was mad about Derrick Brown. So again, it's based off of what they can do when they're in the league. But for me, I do think safety is a position of need based off of what Rashad's point was. We don't have any safeties. Literally, you cannot go in the season. You only have one safety in Damani Richardson. So they're either going to attack it in free agency or they're going to bring in more young blood, and we'll see. But again, I do think Xavier Watts would not be a bad pick in the draft. So Rashad, where do you see him projected with, with this possibly being one of your favorite safeties to choose from?
Yeah, I think that, and again, it depends on where Malachi Starks goes. If he starts to fall, I think you could probably see him slide to the second. But I do think he could be a late first round, early to mid second round pick. I think he's that good. And again, he's gonna take off the Senior Bowl. Probably don't need to play in that anyway. But so it's gonna be interesting to see what he does at the combine. But I think he's gonna be no worse than a second round pick, somewhere in the second.
Okay. All right. Next we got Cobee Bryant out of Kansas. His metrics just came out at the Shrine practice, and he's actually 5'11". He is 175, but he's 5'11". I'll give him cleats. He'll be 6 foot on game day. Very long. When I say very long corner, he's not your average length arm corner. One thing I do like, he's very fast, but he's very lean. And one corner that we used to have here at Carolina that he reminds me of off the bat with speed is Dante Jackson. Dante Jackson was very fast, but he didn't have the length and the arms to actually, press on wide receivers. But for me, I like Cobee Bryant. I think he needs polishing, but he can come in again, like we said with the safety room. The corner room is going to be a room that we have to address as well, because Dan Jackson's gone, Mike Jackson's a free agent, and we do know we have J.C. Horn, the 5th-year option. Not thinking that we're going to lose. We're not going to lose J.C. Horn, but I definitely think we need to draft a corner. But also, one thing that I think we've had an issue with corners and DBs is tackling. One thing Cobee Bryant is great is tackling. One thing as a team we've had a problem with is tackling. But again, when you have a physical corner that will put his nose in there and tackle you and not be afraid to take a hit, that's one thing I love about Cobee Bryant's tape as well, that he's very aggressive. He jumps off the tape right away. But again, I do think we need a corner because we don't know what Mike Jackson's situation. I think it was great that we were able to get him. I do think he will come back. You also do have Cha Smith-Way, but he's more a nickel. But I think Cobee can play outside, but if you need to slide him inside, that's also a plus as well. So for me, I think Cobee Bryant is a corner that you can possibly get no later than the 4th round. You can even get him in the 3rd if you want to, if you want to jump up, but you don't have to because he's not a high corner up there, with this being somewhat of a deep corner draft as well.
Yeah, I like Cobee, man. Cobee, like you said, long arm cornerback. I mean, he does a great job of using his arms. Is a good athlete, is flashy, got his, good traits, athleticism, ball skills are there. Pause. You know what I mean? It's not you introduced it, right? So he got some the tendencies for it to be a ball hawk. So we like that. Willing tackler at that size, just like Dante Jackson used to be. Willing to get in there and make some noise in the run game. That's something that's needed, right? Your corners just can't be guys that cover. You got to get active in the run game and in run support. And I think he does a solid job there. I don't know what he's going to run. I question his top end speed. I'm not sure where he stands or how he's going to run there. I don't know, bro. Cobee, I had my eye on him since last year.
Facts.
And so it's going to be interesting to see how he closes, because I haven't heard as much about him this year. He was the buzz was up last year, and then for some
He should have
reason,
came out last year,
yeah,
but
he
he
should
wanted
have.
to stay. And then,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. Yeah. So I don't know if that kind of hurt him. I'm not sure, just to be honest with you. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Cobee. Like you mentioned, though, the need for cornerback is there. And when you look at Rose and his system, it's predicated upon really good secondary play. You brought it up earlier with the safety play, right? When the miscommunications and all that. We got it, bro. It's got to get fixed. And I don't know what they're going to do with Mike Jackson. I think they need to bring him back. And I think that Michael Jackson is a very good. We got to improve our depth, right?
Correct.
I think Mike Jackson is a very, very, very good depth piece. I hope that's not a slight. I hope people aren't looking at it as a slight, because I think he's very good and capable to be a starter. But that's what you need with your role players and your depth players. They need to be able to step in like he did last year and play very well. But I need somebody better than Mike Jack. I need somebody elite opposite of JC, so that we can really start to become a very dominant defense. We need to get better. And so when you talk about guys like Cobee, I'm looking for a guy to come in there and take that CB2 spot and then turn Mike Jack into depth. That's what we need to start doing with the secondary.
And I will say this, one thing that's great that helps teams is what? Competition. So with Mike Jack going along with a rookie, it's only going to make him better, because you got to come and you actually got to put your stamp on that job. You can't just say, oh, I'm here, I'm going to be, CB2. No, like we need like the term that Dan Morgan said, you need dogs. You want people that's hungry, that want to come and take your job. Know that, hey, I'm a rookie. That doesn't matter. I want to come in and play right away. And can Cobee do that? It's to be determined. But again, like I said at the beginning, these are people that can come in and make impacts. We're not talking about first round. Everybody has their own preference. You want a DN, you want a D lineman, or you want a wide receiver. We're looking at like
corner out there. Wish out to Will Johnson. Corner out there
corner out of Michigan. You are correct. But we're looking at like the one word Rashad just said in this segment is depth. One thing that Dan Morgan even said in his exit interview, I did not do good with helping with depth pieces on this team. Even if Mike Jack does become the starter, you can come in and put Cobee Bryant in there. You don't have to worry about getting somebody off the street or somebody that's a fourth or fifth string corner that cannot actually help and produce and help you win games. So that's how I feel about Cobee Bryant. And I do think, like I said, I would give him late third, early fourth round right now projection without, the East and West Shrine game. And if I think he did get an invite to the combine, but I have to check that. But I definitely want to see, his numbers, like Rashad said, with his top end speed, how fast he runs on that 40.
Yep.
All right.
Ooh-wee. Okay, this kid right here, Shemar Stewart, bro. I mean, when you talk about the intangibles, you talk about the size, bro. He is 6'9", 6'6", 290 pounds, bro. When you talk about the defensive end, that's what we need, bro. We got to build our trenches. And I think this guy is such a – because when you ask me about guys I want to see at the Senior Bowl, this is a guy I need to see. Like,
Facts.
His film is like so frustrating, because it's like, man, he got the build, he got everything you want in a defensive end, but man, the film is up and down, bro. Like, he's not consistent enough. So I need to, if he comes in here into the Senior Bowl and he knocks us out the park, bro, I'm telling you, this is what we need. This is what we need. He's got elite length, power. He can get to knock back at the point of attack. Highly proficient in run defense, so very good against the run. What can't we do? Stop the run. So you need a guy to be able to stop the run. He's been active in the run game. He's got a extremely high ceiling, right? He's got to develop as a pass rusher. The tool belt, the pass rushing tool belt is not quite there. He ain't got enough tools in the tool set yet.
Yeah, we saw that.
Right?
That's one of his cons.
Yeah, it ain't there. It ain't there yet. But boy, if it ever does, there's so much raw talent with Shemar that can be developed. This is a guy that you might need to swing for the fences on. right? When you 6'6", 290 is crazy. There's another guy that was 6'6" and 2 something. I ain't trying to draw no comparison.
I already know who you talking about.
Please don't say it. Please don't say it. Because I don't want nobody to say Rashad said he was gonna be the next. I don't want nobody to do that. But what I am saying is that if you got a guy, if you believe in your coaching staff to develop a guy, this is it. And think about this, bro. And I'm gonna pose this question to you. A lot of people talking about what we're gonna do in the edge rusher position from a free agency standpoint. Should we go out there and go sign another not elite, excuse me, but another edge rusher, right? I highly doubt that's gonna happen. You think that's gonna happen?
So for me, shout out to Joe Person. Joe Person came out right before the Ets interview, said Carolina was going to, hit the free agency market like we did with offensive linemen with the D line. But if you see how deep this D line class is in edge and D line, why go do that where you can build your team, and the way to win championships is build through the draft? So for me, I will say, if you can go get a T. Higgins, if you can go get a Godwin, if you can go get that wide receiver, bring somebody or trade away. Everybody was so enamored with the Garrett Wilson comment that he commented about Bryce. If you can go get that weapon and then still add to your defense, and then they're going to tweak the defense, I'm more intrigued to see the tweaking and the personnel that we bring in. Again, we opened up. You bring in somebody that's not a typical body type. He's a features contract. You bring a body type that's not normally in Evero's scheme. So something has been tweaked already to show that we're getting a hog molly, a term that we use with David Gettleman when he was our GM. But again, you can't teach size. That's the part that I was going to say, Rashad. 6'6", 290, you can't teach size. And again, the one thing, like you said, on his counter of not being a plus is he needs to work on his secondary pass rushing moves. But you can teach that. Like you said, he's very raw. One thing that I will say, we drafted a player that was raw before, and I think we reached for him, which is DJ Johnson. If you do not reach for this young man and you actually get him at a point that is actually where there's no other choice on the board and he actually can show flashes, again, DJ Johnson and Shemar Stewart are two different body types. DJ Johnson's not 6'6".
Yeah, I was gonna say this is
that's different.
A little different. Yeah,
but you understand what I'm saying, because
I get it.
The project part, because a lot of people are upset with the project with DJ Johnson. But again, this is not a project. Again, you can't teach size. Yeah. So I honestly do think Stewart would be a great addition. Again, Old Man Clowney, that's his new nickname here in Carolina. Old Man Clowney is getting older. DJ Warren, I think we only have him for 1 more year, or is it 2 more years?
I think it's 2 more years. I think he got a 3-year deal, if I'm not mistaken.
So you really got from 2 more years. Outside of those two, who do you have?
Yeah, but here's the thing. You brought them up. This is kind of going into my point, is that's why I don't think we're going to invest that much more money into the defensive end room, because you already paid a Wanham. You already paid a Clowney. I don't think they're going to invest. It makes more sense, because I agree that Clowney's still effective. Let's not get it twisted. Correct. Clowney is still effective, but the problem is Clowney's playing too many snaps. He needs to be a rotational guy. And so if you get a guy that can develop, right? And I'm not saying I'm gonna be honest, I don't know where Shemar is gonna actually, because his body type is 6'6", 290. He can play in. I don't know if he's gonna be a stand-up guy. I don't know where he exactly fits in the scheme. But I think you can find a role for him, and if you can allow him to develop, go in there and get a couple of snaps and just kind of work your way and ease his development, bro, I think he could be a problem in the near future. I think, though, just going back to your point about where he's gonna go, bro, I think he might go early second, bro. I think he's gonna go that high. If he balls out the Senior Bowl and follows it up with the combine, I think he could work his way into the maybe late first, early second. There's so much potential there. That's how much potential he has.
And see, that's the thing again. We're looking at prospects based off of almost value, but trade back, because again, that 8th pick, if what I'm hearing with Tennessee, what they're trying to do with these quarterbacks, again, I want to outdo Carter. If we get him, that is a prayer that's answered. That So somebody above 8 should be fired because there's no way he just falls that far unless something happens and he has a Townsend,
Gas
draft day
mask?
story.
Trying to give him a gas mask, bro?
Hey, so like for me, I think it's either there's somebody that you're enamored by, like Xavier Leggett. Xavier Leggett literally said it after we drafted him. They told me that we were going to get drafted, and then Dave Canals was like, "Why'd you have to tell everybody? You're gonna know the tea leaves based off of the East and West Shrine game, the Senior Bowl, then the Combine at the end of the month of February. We're gonna know exactly what Carolina's gonna do, and again, it goes into free agency. But I'm not mad with getting Shemar Stewart because of the size. Again, you can't teach size. And then again, if you get those raw abilities that he just needs coaching with, you possibly got an end for what at least 5 years.
Yeah.
And on a cheap contract.
Yeah, he's good, bro. I think again, it's a wait and see, and that's why we're gonna be looking at that draft at the Senior Bowl to kind of see what's gonna happen with him, how he fares against the other talent. Because again, he has to get that consistency going. That's the biggest knock for him is consistency, bro. He'll show flashes and then he'll fall off the face of the planet.
Yep.
But he's had some really good games as well, so he's got the talent. It's just got to. We need the time to develop him, and if we can get him in a rotation, he could be a problem moving forward.
Yes, sir. All right.
Oh, it's my other guy. So Tre Amos.
Yeah,
Tre Amos. So this is another guy that's a taller cornerback, 6'1", 190 pounds. Both of these are unofficial, by the way. I don't think he's got his measurements yet.
Yeah, they don't. Bro, it's unofficial.
Yeah. This is, bro. This kid is another guy I got my eyes on. Very good length. Pause. He's got good impact, good press coverage at the catch point. He's very good. Natural ball skills are great. Pause again. And he got, again, another one that loves to come up and run support. He's very good at coming up and run support, showing the willingness to put a hat on the helmet. You know what I mean? A hat on the ball when it comes to, showing some run support. So I like what he has there. Again, he's not going to have the same thing. Not going to have the top end speed.
Yeah.
Inconsistent as a tackler. He's got to, wrap up. Same thing you talked about earlier. Some of the issues with our guys that we can't tackle. He's got some of the same issues there. And a little bit, sometimes he can be overly aggressive. With his hands. Got a lot of flags called him at some points. So again, I like Amos. Very interesting. Got 3 interceptions, like you said, like you have here. 13 pass deflections. Again, a lot of talent here that could be displayed at the Senior Bowl. I'm excited about seeing him. I think I got him as probably a third to fourth round pick, depending on what you're looking at. But he could certainly work his way up and increase his stock for sure.
For me, the stat when I was looking up this particular prospect is the 13 pass defenses or deflections. I mean, however you want to say it. If you can split those, that man's almost had 9 interceptions.
Yeah.
And then you're not looking at a third round, you're looking at a possible first round pick. So again, he has a knack for the ball. But again, one thing that I love with corners is you can't have dirty eyes. That's one thing that gets him in trouble. He has very bad dirty eyes. But with his length and then his ball knack, he actually can recover great. But again, this is not college anymore. You're playing against pros. So one thing, again, on the back end, which we don't play man in this scheme, we do a zone scheme. You still can't get beat if it's in your zone because you have dirty eyes and bad footwork. But again, like I said, he has a knack for the ball. Like we said, it has 3 interceptions, 13 pass deflections. That's a lot. That is a lot. Means that you're in coverage most of the time. And again, for me, like the first point is plays to his size, length, holding up very well against bigger receivers. One thing that we've always had in NFC South is bigger receivers that we have to go against. So look at that Mike Evans. I mean, it's almost a PTSD.
It's time for him to retire, bro. I'm tired.
But he still got juice in the tank though.
For sure.
But it's just hard though because again, the last game, whenever who was that? Was that Ben? Who was it where he caught that fade ball on? It was the corner that we got from the Jets.
Farley.
Yes. Yes. No, Farley. It was Farley, but it was the other. No, I'm thinking of the Atlanta game. But when you got Drake London, you are right. But you got Drake London and you got Mike Evans. You need a corner that's going to be able to stack up with these big time receivers. Like Chris Olave is not as big, but when you got a Mike Evans that has abused us and dragged us through the last 2 seasons when we played in Tampa, you need a corner. Yes, JC wasn't able to play, but again, one thing he did do was play more games. I think everybody respected his game when he was healthy. But you need another corner because, again, in Evero's scheme, he doesn't let his best corner travel with the wide receiver. So you need another dog on the opposite side. And Rashad said it when we opened up talking about Cobee Bryant. Mike Jackson is serviceable, but he needs that pressure that can say, hey, you're not just a foot in. You actually got to work and get this job.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, you got to get a guy opposite of JC. And I don't know who it's going to be. I don't think we're going to find one in free agency. That's going to be, what we need. Because I think if you're going to do all that, you might as well just bring back Mike Jackson. But I think we're definitely going to walk away with a cornerback out this draft. I think they probably going to end up drafting a corner every year until they get it settled. You know what I mean? I'm going to be honest with you. We keep talking about, who we going to take in the first round. And I promise you, I think Will needs to be strongly considered. I'm telling you, Ted is good, but just imagine for a moment, take a step back. Think about it. JC, Will Johnson.
You got a tandem that we haven't had in a minute.
Tough. In a minute. I don't think ever. 2?
Well, serviceable. Okay, so $2. I would say that you are right. You are right. We've always had one side locked down, and the other side has been questionable. You are correct about that.
And listen, with what you said, and I know you only mentioned 1 or 2 guys from each team, bro. There's some very good receiving cores in the NFC South. It ain't just about one guy, right? And this is a passing league. Look at these teams, bro. These teams got multiple guys they're throwing out there. You got to be able to stop the pass. I know we are a terrible run defense, run stopping team. We can't stop the run for nothing. And I know that even if you have 2 great corners, if you can't stop the run, it ain't gonna matter, right? So you got to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. So we gotta stop the run ultimately.
Yeah.
But boy, if you get those 2 bookend cornerbacks, it's gonna cause some problems in the South. So I'm just throwing out there. I know I'm kind of diverting the conversation
because you got me thinking. You said 1. Would you be mine if we draft 2 this year?
2 corners?
Yes.
No, not at all. So you saying Will, or are you just saying in general? Or
in general. Will? So okay. I would still say this: if you get Will Johnson, that's cool. But I still think we need more depth because again, they said we don't have depth. Again, we were signing people off practice squads that are just a practice body to go through reps. Mm-hmm. So for me, I do think we need more corners.
We do.
I will say this. I think we will address the safety position more than the D-line position, and we will go get a corner in the draft.
I don't know what we're gonna do, bro. It's so many holes in this roster. To be honest, it's hard. It's like whack-a-mole. It's like whack-a-mole in this joint.
That's the only thing the defense can do is go up.
Well, I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so, bro. That's all I can say about it. I certainly hope so.
Yeah, we can't do. Only way is to go up. Like I said, DJ Cal, we're going all the way up. I ain't saying all the way to number 1, but we got to do something. We can't have a defense like this 3 years in a row. There's no way. There's no way.
I agree, and I think that I think with the you got rid of some coordinators, you made some scapegoat changes there. I believe you call it what you want.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna keep your defensive coordinator that gave up the most points in history, then you're gonna get rid of somebody. And if you're not gonna get rid of him, somebody gotta go. You know what I mean? So listen, ultimately, like you said, the expectation, I would like to see our defense be in the top 15. That's it.
Yeah.
And we don't got to be a top 10, top 5 defense. If you just meet Bryce halfway, bro, I think we a playoff team. If you can just get Bryce, if Bryce can continue what he did and you meet Bryce halfway with the defense, you don't got to be elite. Just make a couple of stops when it's time,
Right.
bro.
When we needed it.
Yeah, we probably could have been in the playoffs.
Yeah.
This year had we
Yeah.
made the stops we needed to make. You know what I mean? So just meet us halfway, defense. Just get a top 15, and I promise you things will be great around here, bro.
Yes, sir. All right. Elijah Roberts out of SMU. 6'4", 278. Again, these are unofficial until most of these guys are at these bowl games and at the NFL Combine. Total tackles 35, sacks 7.5, 2 forced fumbles. Had a great showing in the, what would you call that? The quarterfinals when they played Penn State. I might got the wrong round, but I think it's the quarters that they were calling it.
In the playoffs somewhere.
Yeah, in the playoffs, he had 2 sacks against Penn State. Exceptional burst off the line. And when I was looking at his measurements and hearing it, when I heard exceptional burst, it was one player that we did lose that I did think had a great burst off the line, which is Brian Burns. But one thing that compared to Stewart is size. Again, these are unofficial. So I would say he's probably either 6'2" or 6'3". So again, he's a little bit undersized, but he definitely has a high motor. One thing that we did have when we were here, when we had an undersized outside linebacker DN, was Hassan Reddick. High motor. Hassan Reddick had a high motor, and he used his strength of him being undersized to get under offensive linemen and get underneath those tackles. Also, for me with Elijah Roberts is the things that he has to work on, again, alongside with Stewart, is he has to be more diverse in his second move. Again, once he gets stopped on his first move, again, that's what happened with most power rushers, or not power rushers, fast off the line rushers. When they don't have any power, if you knock them off their spot, they're either going to fall or they're not going to have a second move. So he has to do the same thing as Stewart, learn another move or get in that mix and mixture up his packages of defensive pass rush skills. But for me, I do think, like we said, end is going to be an area that we have to address. This is just another end outside of Stewart that I think is very intriguing. He's another prospect I'm going to try to run into during the East and West Shrine game to see his measurements, see how he looks in one-on-ones. Is he applying pressure? One thing we have to have is, and we have not been able to do, is pressure the quarterback and not get sacks. Again, 7.5 sacks is pretty darn good. I do think that he is a third rounder. He's another that can be a possible late second round based off of his performance and his measurements and how he looks and how his interviews go at the bowl and also at the combine.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know too much about this kid prior to you sending me. I was like, man, he ain't really been on my radar like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I looked him up, bro. Some of his pass rush scores on PFF were crazy.
Yes.
So he had a good look there. I like, and listen, the undersized 6'3", I don't know what the official measurements are going to be, 6'3", but that weight, that 270, 280 is intriguing because he's going to have a solid anchor, right? And like you said, playing with leverage, you know what I mean? When you're shorter like that, you're able to get up under folks and drive them back. And so I think that setting that edge, especially from an end standpoint, is going to be, it could be very beneficial. I know one of the negatives I saw for him is that he plays a little bit heavy. He's not like as nimble as you would like to see some of your edges at some point. He's not going to be a Brian Burns with the spin moves and the pirouettes and stuff like that. They're getting crazy. But I think he's intriguing for sure. I like that you put him on your list because he definitely wasn't on mine. I think, I had to go do some digging. But I think he's solid. I think he's solid for sure.
I mean, like for me, it was more of looking at the needs. We know we need DN. We know we need interior. We need corners. I wanted to get somebody that that somebody didn't know. Like you said, I had to go on PFF. I had to do some digging. I'm like, let me find a gem because, again, it's not about the first round picks. It's about the third and the backing of the draft. Everybody thinks that your roster that wins you Super Bowls is your number one pick. No. Most of your picks that help you get to the Super Bowl are the ones where your scouts are looking at players from the third or fourth. I'll say back in third all the way to the end of the draft that actually come in and produce. Again, look at it, Jalen Coker, who's undrafted, who's now making noise for Carolina Panthers. That goes with scouting. Yeah, shout out to you. You already know I had to plug you guys. So, hey, you know I had to plug you right there, man. But again, for me, I think Roberts is an intriguing prospect. Again, like Rashad said, we have to see how some of these players match up when it comes to these bowl games in the combine. But I do think the 6 prospects that we did cover, I think a lot of people will agree with some of these names. Like, oh yeah, I like this player. I like this player. Oh, you told me something new about this particular player. We all have our own personal preference of who we want to draft. I think only thing we need is this defense to get better. Rashad had me laughing when he said, I don't know if they can go up. They have to go up. There's no other way that we can't go any lower. We've been at the bottom. And again, top 15, that's too easy because again, I agree with Rashad. I do think we would make the playoffs if we were a top 15 middle of the pack defense. The way Bryce came back after he got that benching, even if we won maybe 2 or 3 of those games, you never know how that changes the aura in the locker room and how that momentum changes into some of those games. Yes, we understand the offense did wet the bed, but this defense needs attention. Dan Morgan brought attention and he addressed the issues on the offensive line and the offense. Now it's time to address that defense, address the trenches, get you some fresh dog blood in there that can actually be that physical defense that you said you want us to be back in those glory days when you played ball, Dan Morgan.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, it's not unheard of, right? It's not unheard of to see these kind of turnarounds. We just saw our offensive line go from one of the worst
to top
to
5.
one to top. Yep. Yeah, to exactly. So, these turnarounds can be made. You just got to be intentional about it, right? Yep. And it's not just about getting guys in the building; it's about what you're going to do with it. We've even seen progression inside the season with our offense, right? Our offense wasn't clicking on all cylinders like it was at the beginning of the season to the end of the season. Like the end of the season, the offense was damn near unstoppable.
Yeah.
I mean, like we was really click. Like that Falcons game, bro. When is the last time we seen our offense look like that?
It was refreshing to see.
Yeah, we haven't seen our offense look like that since the Cam days, bro. Like that offense was clicking. You hear me? Yes. Clicking. So, like, if we can get that kind of energy, if we could just see it, it ain't got to start out hot, like defensively. Like, let's just see some progression. Bro, it was like every running back that we were going against this past season, was just licking their chops.
That was their 100-yard game.
Yeah, they knew.
Get guaranteed 100
yards. It was guaranteed, bro. It was guaranteed. I'm about to hit my roster bonus going up against the Carolina Panthers.
Facts.
Like they knew, and it's nothing we could do about it. It was absolutely nothing we could do to stop it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So we got to see some improvement. I do think there's going to be a hefty investment in this draft on the defensive side of football. I would just be remiss if I would say that they don't need to go a complete defensive draft.
Correct.
It's not necessary. We've done that before, and it was a failure, right?
Correct.
So, yes, we need to go get some defensive blood, but it doesn't need to be all defensive. We don't need to ignore, because that's what we do in Carolina. We tend to overcorrect. All right, our offense sucks, so we got to go put all our resources into the offensive side, and then look what happened to the defense.
Yep.
Are we going to completely overcorrect now? Because just because you fix stuff here, don't mean you got a couple of patches. Don't mean you got to fix over here. You can't
remember the other side of the ball.
Exactly. There's still that work needs to be done. We still need another tight end.
Correct.
Like we still could use some interior offensive lineman help, some depth. You could still be looking for a future right tackle because Mo get older. Like yes. you can't completely forget about the offense. We got to build this thing smart. And I think Dan Morgan, I'm preaching to the choir. I think Dan Morgan and them, they know what they're doing, bro. They're going to get it right. They're going to get it right.
We have no other choice. Again, I like his exit interview. He took more ownership than I thought any GM that we've had underneath David Temper would do. I got to do a better job. I see what the problem is. I know how to attack it. Let's get at it. And when that time is right, I think Dan Morgan and Dave Canales and Brent Tillis, who we can't forget, the three-headed monster will get it right. And better days are coming in Carolina, man. I don't want to get too eager to say something, but if this draft goes right, and then we
go into the Super Bowl is what you trying to say.
No, y'all didn't hear. Look, Rashad tried to. No, only thing I'm gonna say is the NFC South has always been open, and I'll leave it at that. Everybody knows what we mean by that. The South can be won by any team in that particular division. And if we take care of business, like everybody else is going to do as well, but if we take care of business and fix the problems that we can fix and be aggressive in the right particular areas, we never know what the future can hold for 2025 with the Panthers, man. Rashad, I appreciate you, man. Go ahead and tell the people where they can find you and Dave at, which I already know they already know where they can find y'all at, but go ahead and shout it out, man.
Yeah, man. Rashad and Dave, of course, Panther Nation podcast on YouTube. Look us up. I'm pretty active on not. I'm not that crazy active on Twitter /X, but I'll be on there at Panther Nation PC, man. Holla at us, man. Again, we just having fun on the channel, bringing some good, good content with integrity, right? We're not doing nothing crazy on our channel. We just having fun, bro. We having fun with it. We got probably gonna have some stuff coming up with some players. We got a lot of good content coming, so come on over, check out PNP if you ain't already subscribed, man. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir, man. Now, I appreciate you again joining us to talk about 6 prospect the Carolina Panthers possibly could draft. Again, Rashad, I appreciate you. Dave, shout out to you on the other half of PNP. As always, over here, what's up, Dub? We tell everybody, stay safe, stay blessed. Peace out. See you till next time.